You would think I would have built up an immunity, and I haven't. Staring out into. Yeah. You have gin and juice in your head? Okay. What am I supposed to say? Get my eagle down or get your eagle down? I don't know. That's a different song. Trying for Joe here. I feel like it's brighter than it was the first few days. I don't know. I feel like the four of the, I think there's eight. Yeah. The two, and then there's two in the middle that seem really bright. And then and it's just because they're pointed directly at me. John Norwood, Tyler Beatty, Tim Corbin. Andy Flutterjohn. Scheduled for Game 3 of the CWS final. Hmm? It's an important 5 minutes. That means 5 more minutes of press conference time, right? They did, yes. As a reminder, please silence your personal devices, cell phones, tablets, and Virginia was the designated home team for tomorrow CWS Finals Game 3, 7 p.m. Just those two. Just the two players. Okay. Bonnie, we'll wait for a couple minutes for some other reporters anyway. We'll wait a couple minutes because there's some other reporters that need to come down. Representing Vanderbilt, head coach Tim Corbin, starting pitcher Tyler Beatty, and outfielder John Norwood. Coach, if you'd begin with an opening statement.
Well, Waddell threw a heck of a game. You got to give him a lot of credit. He basically suffocated our offense for most of the night, particularly as the game went on. He looks like a winning pitcher to me. It's the first time we've been able to see him up close outside of what we saw on TV. I thought our guy did a nice job as well. I thought there were some plays that we may have been able to contain. They were big at the moment, and the inning got a little bit loose. They had a big inning there with the 3 spot. I thought there were a couple defensive plays that we could have controlled. But they did a nice job of hitting and running and advancing runners. They were aggressive at the time, and it seemed to work out for them because they found areas in the field that we weren't able to defend.
We'll open the floor for questions. Let's begin in the second row. As a reminder, please introduce yourself and your affiliation before you ask your question.
Mike Bauman, The Score. Coach, your pitching staff's had a little bit of a rough go of it the past couple days. What's your level of confidence in them going into this Game 3, and what's your plan going forward?
I'm fine. We're playing a good team, playing a team that has a very high plus-minus. I mean, they don't strike out. They walk. They put the ball in play. They have very good approaches at the plate. It's a tough team to pitch against. But I have no issue with our pitching. Not the issue none whatsoever.
In the back.
Rich Kipus, Omaha World Herald. Tim, can you circle that 4th inning after the Norwood double? What happened then as possibly a bad omen of the rest of the way?
Or breakdown and bunt you're talking about? Yeah. Didn't get a bunt down. Then we got picked off. So the inning crashed.
Here in the front row, Kendall.
Kendall Rogers, perfect game. Tim, from your perspective, what was it that Waddell was able to do tonight to kind of just keep you guys from ever getting in a groove offensively?
Change speeds and pitch into the defense. I thought he did a very nice job of that. They defended us well. We were making early contact and hitting into the teeth of the defense, and we didn't really make a good adjustment with them. Now, it's not easy. Obviously, the kid's throwing a good fastball. He's throwing on both sides of the plate. He's decelerating the baseball with a changeup and throwing a breaking ball. He's a 3-pitch, 4-pitch guy. You have to be on, but you really, really have to be able to stay inside the baseball and use the other side of the field. And, he didn't allow us to do that.
Staying in the front, Aaron.
Aaron Fitt, Baseball America. Tyler, got through their lineup a couple of times there pretty effectively. What, from your perspective, changed the 3rd time through?
I think just execution was just a little bit more poor the 3rd and 4th times through the lineup. Certainly was only working with 2 pitches there, fastball, changeup. So, it was kind of 50-50. But like I said, could have executed better. They were finding holes and certainly a talented hitting team, and like Corb said, Waddell pitched a great game.
Third row here in the left.
Dan Hoppin, Rivals.com. Coach, do you know who you're planning on starting tomorrow, and are there any guys out of the bullpen that right now you can rule out?
Where are you?
Here on the
Right
left.
there. No, everyone's in. I mean, it's last game of the season. Everyone's going to pitch. So I don't have a problem with that. Who's going to start? I'm not sure yet. Our intentions will probably be Fulmer, but and I'm sure he'll fight to take the ball. So we'll see, though. That's not official.
On the left.
Steve Lehman from CBS in Nashville for John. How do you calm yourself going into tomorrow in a winner-take-all game? And also for Coach, if you would, what do you tell the guys to try to calm them going into that game?
Well, I mean, it's just the one game left, so you got to put it all out there. And ever since back to regionals, we kind of say it's a one-game series, and we just stay by that and go off that.
We'll take 3 more questions. In the back.
Tim, the little dust up. I'm sorry, David Clymer from the Tennessean. Tim, the little dust up on third base with Pappy and Tyler. Does that carry over to tomorrow?
No way. No.
Any further questions? All right, we'd like to thank Coach Corbin and the Vanderbilt student athletes for joining us. Virginia has been designated as the home team tomorrow, Vanderbilt the road team. For individual interviews, please coordinate with Kyle Parkinson, Vanderbilt SID. Virginia will be in here shortly. Representing Virginia, head coach Brian O'Connor, outfielder Brandon Downs, third baseman Kenny Towns, and starting pitcher Brandon Waddell. Coach, if you'd begin with an opening statement.
Thank you. A little bit different of a starting pitching performance tonight than last night. Brandon Waddell was just terrific. It seemed like, after the first 4 innings, he really settled in, did a terrific job of, mixing all of his pitches, kind of keeping their hitters off balance, and certainly we had another really good offensive night. A number of hit and runs that were executed in some clutch situations, and guys came up big with some RBI opportunities. So just really couldn't be more proud of our club. Facing elimination, facing the end of the season, and you have somebody like Waddell step up and pitch like that, and our offensive ball club, just would not be denied. And now it all comes down to tomorrow night, and I know our guys will come out and play loose and aggressive like they have this entire postseason, and I'm looking forward to seeing them go out and compete tomorrow night.
Open the floor for questions. We'll begin in the second row.
Andrew Ramspacker, Charlottesville Daily Progress. Brian, I remember you mentioned coming back to Game 2 of the Super Regional and how you were as calm as you've ever been going into that game against elimination. Did you have a similar feeling today, and if so, why?
I did, because I know, the bounce back that this team's shown all year long. You know when you go through a season with a team, you start to learn and understand, what they're made of and what the fiber of a team is. And, I told the team last night after the game that, there's no panic in this ball club, that, they'd come out tonight and play another great ball game, and we'd have a chance to win. So, I can assure you that I've had no problem sleeping, and I don't think the players have either.
Here in the front row, Doug.
Doug Dowdy from the Roanoke Times. Brandon, was there any discussion before the ninth inning about you coming out, and what about in the later innings about how did you think you'd stay in the whole way?
I didn't know how long I would be in the game. I just kind of tried to keep going until they told me to stop. We didn't really have any discussion between me and Coach Kays or any of the other coaches, so I was just prepared to go out there and prepared to try and get the job done.
Staying in the front row, Kendall.
Kendall Rogers, perfect game. Brandon picked a pretty good time to have that 9-inning complete game. I guess just talk about just kind of what was working for you stuff-wise, just kind of your approach against those guys.
I felt good from the start. I feel like in the beginning I was trying to do a little bit too much, trying to put a little bit too much behind the ball, so spraying here and there. I got in trouble with a couple walks, but I feel like I settled in later on in the game, had most of the pitches working, could put them where I needed to, and Coleman called a great game behind the plate, mixing up pitches, trying to keep hitters off balance.
Here in the front row.
Jeff White, VirginiaSports.com. Brian, 28 hits, 15 runs in 2 games. Is this the offensive team that everyone expected Virginia to have going into the season?
Wow. Maybe, yeah. Certainly there's a lot of real athletic skill in that lineup. Just the ability of guys to get down the line and the pressure that puts on infielders, through most of our lineup. And, we've got really very much a veteran lineup. And, I remember back a month and a half, 2 months ago, Coach McMullen and I having a conversation, and, we just believed, the two of us, that at some point, this would all come together and we'd have a real complete lineup that we feel like we're capable of. And fortunately it's shown up here in Omaha, and fortunately it's shown up the last 2 ball games. And I think that goes back to, Jeff, what I talked about, what these guys are made of. They've got a lot of at-bats under their belt. There's a lot of really good contact hitters in this lineup. We don't strike out much, and we're pretty athletic. So
on the right, Mitch.
Mitch Sherman, ESPN.com. For Towns and Downs, it was starting to get late there in the 6th before you guys got ahead. What did you see with Beatty, and did you feel like you were starting to get to him? What happened there to kind of help things, help the ball get rolling?
I thought throughout the game we were getting pretty good swings at him. Everyone was seeing the ball pretty well. I guess as the game was going on, he starting to leave some pitches up, and he gave us some opportunities in the 6th through the 9th inning to be able to execute some plays.
I just thought we did a really good job of showing discipline with runners in scoring position in those later innings, and that allowed us to get a couple big hits in those situations to put some runs on the board.
Here in the second row.
This is for either Kenny or Brandon Marchinato from the Washington Post. Did you guys, as hitters, as the game went along and Brandon sort of got in his groove, does that give you guys maybe some additional confidence or comfort at the plate, just watching your pitcher roll through a lineup like he was late?
He was tremendous throughout the whole game. He gave us a lot of confidence. Even if we weren't going to be able to come through one inning, he was going to come out there and pitch his bag off like he did, and it gave us an opportunity to come through.
Kenny, do you have anything to add?
I think we were able to really just get some momentum offensively, and when our innings were over, Waddell did a great job just getting us back in the dugout, and we were able to just keep that offensive momentum going.
Aaron
Fitt, Baseball America. Kenny and Brandon, once they started putting runners in motion a little bit there in the 6th inning and mixing up, I guess, the attack a little bit. How much fun is that for you guys to force the action like that, with a hit and run?
Well, it's a lot of fun. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and we're doing a great job of executing whatever motion was put on, and it was really getting to them, and it was giving us situations to where we could just start scoring some runs.
Stay in the front, Kendall.
Kendall again. Brian, about a month and a half or so ago in Tallahassee, you kind of told me that you felt like Brandon Downs over here was a guy that you thought could finally get things going in the postseason. I guess just talk about the job that he did tonight, and just suddenly he's an offensive guy again.
Well, I'm so proud of him. I really am. You know, I think it's been well documented. You know what he's went through this year. You know, with his wrist and everything, and you know, like I said back then, Kendall, you know, he grinded through it for his team. And when you do that and you're selfless and, you know, you continue to fight, you know, the game comes back around to you, and it's rewarding him now and rewarding his teammates. Obviously, you know, he's showing here in Omaha how skilled he is and how talented he is. This guy had over 30 extra base hits last year. And he's a great athlete, and he's, you know, now we have somebody that's, you know, as skilled as he is in the 8-hole. That makes a pretty well-rounded lineup.
Second row.
Brandon, obviously, you know, yesterday it was the third inning that kind of got unraveled for Kirby. Today, the fourth inning, they get that double there early, and then you're able to pick that guy off at second base. How big was that? Do you feel kind of the momentum kind of switched in your direction at that point? It seemed like you cruised from that time. Kind of take us through that play and what that did for you.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. You know, in that specific inning, I think in the beginning, like I said earlier, I was trying to do too much. Kind of put me in that situation in the beginning anyway. You know, the pick play was put on, and we just executed it. It was a huge momentum swing. You know, they go from a guy in scoring position to nobody on. So I think it was something that was definitely big for us.
We'll take 3 more questions, starting here in the front row.
Brian, will Josh start tomorrow and going into a game 3 without having used Artie or Nick in this series? How big a positive is that for you?
Jeff, I can't give you a 100% right now that Spores is going to start. I think it's very likely that he will. But certainly, you know, not having touched Lewicki or Howard in these first 2 ball games, you know, is important. You know, it gives us an ability to, you know, maybe chop the game up tomorrow or do whatever we need to do to win the game. Those 2 guys have been great for us all year. They've been great here in Omaha, and they'll certainly be called upon tomorrow.
In the back corner.
Ian Eklund, AP Broadcast. Kenny, what can you say about the support from the Virginia crowd and the people that traveled out here to Omaha?
I mean, it's just great to see that fan base here, just traveling all this way and making a big trip to come out here and support us. It shows you how much people really care about the program, and you really like to get behind them and just do well for them.
And our final question here in the front row.
Yeah, Brandon Waddell, could you talk about any nerves that you had before the game and how you remain calm and the challenges of being in an elimination game?
My approach really to the game is you can't pull in the circumstances and the situation of the game. I feel like if you do that, you get caught up in moments and your head starts spinning. All of a sudden, you know, bases loaded, they've scored a bunch of runs. So my approach to it is kind of just breaking it down, you know, trying to make it simple and stick to the game that we've, you know, executed all year.
All right, we'd like to thank Coach O'Connor and the Virginia student athletes for joining us. Once again, Virginia is the designated home team in tomorrow's CWS Finals Game 3. For individual interviews, please coordinate with Virginia Sports Formation Director Andy Fletterjohn.